Welcome to Flying Upstream, the podcast where we uncover the choices, practices, and wisdom that defy mainstream conventions. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Louisa. And together we're here to illuminate the alternative paths that have shaped human experiences through the ages. In each episode, we'll examine ways to move beyond societal norms. We're passionate about how timeless wisdom and unique lifestyle choices can foster healthier, sustainable, and enriching lives.
Join us as we navigate, challenge, and celebrate the beauty and insight of walking the road less traveled. If you've ever felt like you're flying north for the winter while everyone else is flying south, you've found your flock.
But let's talk a little bit about why people go vegan. We talked about your experience being related to health reasons, but what are some other reasons that people may choose to have a vegan lifestyle?
I think a big reason is kindness to animals. If you actually look at real footage of what happens in a slaughterhouse, your stomach will turn. It's beyond what most people can comprehend. The level of trauma that these animals go through, they are murdered, they are living in their own filth, their own feces, they are bred for food, which means they are bred with genetic abnormalities. They are bred to have diseases. For example, chickens, most people buy chickens for the chicken breast. That's where the meat is. So chickens are bred to have huge breasts and they can't even stand up. It's like if we were having babies that had arms so long and so heavy that we couldn't even walk. Right? It doesn't make any sense. It would be a terrible quality of life, but that's what we're doing to these animals. We're putting them in stalls that they can't even walk around in. They're dying because they're eating their own feces. They're so starved. It's so sad. And it's also very random in a sense of why we choose to eat some animals but not others. We don't eat cats and dogs in our society, but we do eat cows and chickens, which are very gentle creatures. Cows are basically like dogs. If you ever watch a cow really running around and having a good time outside, they run around, they kick their legs. It's adorable. You should watch a video of it. There's just really this terrible side to what goes on, not only on the farms, but also in the slaughterhouses. And you'll hear people talk about animals being killed humanely. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think if you're being murdered, you're being murdered. And that's what we're doing to these animals. There's no kind way to slit their throat or put a nail gun into their brain. There's no kind way to do that. You're taking a life. And as I went down my vegan path, I learned more about this, and I had no idea the level of torment and torture and cruelty that happens. As I said before, once you know it, you can't unknow it. It's something I can no longer support. I can't condone it for my family. And I think it's terrible. It's an awful thing that we as humans do.
You went down a path of learning this information and seeing how animals are treated. You mentioned watch a video of how gentle a cow is. These aren't things that we see on social media on a day-to-day basis. How did you go about in your own vegan journey, subjecting yourself and finding that information so that you could become aware? Because on a day-to-day, I can tell you that none of that pops up on any of my feeds.
It was a combination of things for me. I had been in this place where I was watching a lot of documentaries and they had a lot of good information, but I also recognize that documentaries tend to be one-sided because the filmmaker is trying to make a point. As much as I love the information I got there, I really wanted to make sure that what I was learning was really the truth and not only seeing one side of it. And so I went online and I found websites that are geared towards a vegan perspective. And they're great because the ones that focus on vegan news, they have the vegan flavor, if you will, but they're still linking to real news out there. I felt like that was a nice place because I knew it was not sensationalized. And I did actually go to social media for some things too. I just looked up, and this was years ago, so I'm sure it's all changed, but what are the top vegan influencers on Instagram? And it had 10 people, and I just started following them. And I learned a lot that way too, because not only are they posting things about their own perspective and things that I didn't know about animals or the food we're eating, but they then also reference other news sources or other influencers that you can keep following that thread down. Part of the reason I felt I had to go to the internet is because I didn't know anybody in real life that was vegan. I didn't have anybody that I could go to and say, "Hey, what are some good recipes?" Or "How did you deal with going to a birthday party and getting a mean look when you turned down the cake?" Right? I didn't have anyone that I could go to for these questions. So I went to the internet, and that's what I found. There's also a ton of support out there. There's so many Facebook groups out there for vegans, especially people who are beginning their vegan journey, that offer not only recipes, but just general support too. I joined a couple of those, and those were really helpful. You can decide what platform works best for you, whether it's social media, whether it's just reading vegan news sites, or even Reddit's got a lot of stuff too. Whatever works for you. People that are vegan, definitely go to them first. They'll probably be able to give you answers quickly. It's about knowing what works best for you.
While you were sharing that, I had a thought. Are there any vegan books that you would recommend that may be life-changing or even helpful to someone on their vegan journey or that may be vegan curious?
There are a couple great children's books that I would recommend for this. And I do have young children, which is why I have them. But they're great for adults too, because they explain things in a different way that we're not taught as adults. One is a very simple book. It's called We All Love. And each page has a picture of children doing one thing and then animals doing the same thing. For example, we love playing, and it shows kids on a playground. Animals love playing, and it shows cows jumping around and playing with each other. We get scared, and it shows a monster on TV and kids are scared, and says animals get scared. And it shows an image of a hunter shooting a gun and making the loud sound, and the ducks are really scared of the loud sound. It helps to build some compassion and to recognize that animals are animals. We are animals. We are all the same. And our experiences are the same experiences that animals have too, both the positive and the negative. They have emotions, they have feelings, they feel pain, just like when we fall down and get hurt, we scrape our knee or get a paper cut, for example. Animals feel pain too. I know a lot of people think fish don't feel pain. That's not true. When you're fishing and a hook gets stuck in a fish's mouth, that's painful. You can imagine if a hook was stuck in your mouth, that would be really painful. And so it's just kind of bridging that divide, showing that for kids and for us too, that we need to start thinking about animals in a different way. There's another book called Leo the Lion. I'll put the exact title in the show notes too, which is a really cute book. It talks about a lion who doesn't want to eat zebras like the rest of the pride. His mother casts him out. He goes on to help all the animals with whatever they need. And at the end, he needs help, and all the animals come out and help him. And the mother is so impressed and so proud of her child that she takes him back into the pride. That story for me is about not being afraid to be different, to be who you really are. And if you really don't want to eat animals, that's okay. You can find your community no matter where you go. If this is a new cultural thing for you, you will most likely have family members saying unsupportive comments to you. Don't let that dissuade you. You will find community and family no matter where you go. Some of these books, like I said, are meant for kids, but they have such nice messages to them that I think adults can benefit as well.
You mentioned something that's really important. These are kids' books, but when we're starting a new journey, we usually want to start at the beginning. You also mentioned the naysayers in our experiences, our family members and friends, and people who may be unsupportive because they don't understand. Through your vegan journey, how have you handled that? How has that affected your relationships?
This is a great question. I think it's a little different for everybody. I think the majority of people that I've talked to about it have no interest in going vegan themselves. And really, when they're hating my decision, it's because they want validation that their decision to eat meat is correct. It's not really about me and my decision, even though some of their comments are untrue and hurtful. For example, I grew up in a family that was a traditional meat and potatoes. We grilled on the barbecue during the summer. We had meat at every single meal. When I decided to tell my mother, hey, I'm vegan, she was like, what? What are you doing? Are you insane? It was a bit of a reaction there. But that's okay. Her whole life has been eating meat. So it's very reasonable for her to be concerned for me that I'm suddenly not getting enough protein, or what will I eat? I will starve to death. Part of it was I had to explain to her mom, do you actually know how much protein people need every day? And she said, no. Okay, we talk about that. Do you actually know where protein comes from? She says, animals. I said, okay, but how about the animals that don't eat other animals? Like I said before, the chickens, fish, cows, they don't eat other animals, and they're all very strong creatures that are clearly getting their protein from plants. I explained to her where I'm getting my protein, my fiber. I'm certainly not going to convert her anytime soon, but at least she started to get a clearer picture that I'm not going to starve and just wither away, that I'm going to continue to get all my nutrients. That was part of it. But the other part was that people take it very personally. When you tell somebody, especially someone like a parent or somebody that has raised you, that you are now vegan, they can take it as a personal rejection. Somehow that translates to you disapproving of all the meals that they have ever cooked you, of their own lifestyle and the way that they want to eat. They take it very much to heart, even though that's not necessarily the intention. When I told my mom, I really, and I say this with love, don't care what she eats.
Right, right.
That is her choice. She is a grown woman. That's her journey to go
Yeah.
through. But there was still something there that she was offended. We're past it now and she is supportive, but it was a bit of a journey for her as well. You just have to know that going into it, that you're not going to convert somebody to being vegan unless they are genuinely interested, and that you can say your one or two sentences justifying your decision, but you don't really need to look for validation to continue on this path. You don't need anyone's blessing to do it. You can do it in your own way. I know some people that are vegan when they are alone or with some friends, but then when they're with their extended family, there's just too much emotion and they're not vegan. They eat meat because that's part of the family's culture. And maybe it's too hard for the family to accept that this person is vegan. And that's okay too. There's different ways to go about it and to be vegan. It really can be how you feel comfortable around people that are not vegan and how you want to talk to them about it.
Talking more about your own journey to veganism, how did you feel from a health perspective? How did your body feel, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health?
It was night and day for me. Once I had done it solidly for a couple days, maybe a week, I could already feel a huge difference. I felt lighter, I felt more energetic. If you can imagine that feeling that you get after you've had a huge meal and your stomach is just so full and you feel like you literally cannot take one more bite or it's just going to make you sick. I never feel that way anymore. I never feel that way where you've had so much to eat, it's disgusting. I can eat as much as I want. I feel full, but it's satisfying. It's a different kind of feeling of being full. When I get up in the morning, I feel lighter. I just don't feel bogged down. My body doesn't feel as heavy, that it's harder to move. It's harder to exercise. It's a totally different feeling that I had never experienced before. and didn't even know that feeling that way existed. I felt like I had better mental clarity. I slept so much better. Oh my gosh. I slept so much better. And I feel like because I had so much more energy, I was willing to do a little more exercise. I had a little more mental capacity to try a new recipe at the end of a busy day. Whereas before, I really didn't have any interest in doing that. It was so refreshing to be in this place now where I felt good. I felt happy. I felt like myself. I felt really positive about my life and the world and excited. And I know our listeners are thinking this is a little extreme. Just changing your diet can do this for you, but it is absolutely true. And I'm not the only one who feels this way. Many, many people feel the same way. If you look at the science behind it, it actually does make sense because when you're getting more nutrients, you're reducing processed food, it truly affects your mental state. We know, for example, that more vitamin C can fight depression, that reducing or eliminating altogether red meat lowers your risk of cancer. You're lowering your saturated fat, your cholesterol, your sugar intake. These are all things that are directly linked to disease, both mental and physical. And when you're reducing that, it means you're also increasing your intake of fiber, of vitamins, minerals. All these things are contributing to how you feel when you wake up in the morning. It felt extreme at first, but then you get used to feeling really good. And occasionally, when you have a relapse, it happens. Really feel how bad it feels to eat meat and have dairy.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier, it's a major concern for people who are considering veganism, is about the protein intake. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like with a vegan diet?
It's really funny to me that there's a huge focus on the protein. Where do you get your protein? Everyone asks. Once you dig into it, a typical adult, how much protein do they need? The vegan sources of protein are beans and legumes and nuts primarily. It's really not that much. If you're really eating a vegan diet, it's hard not to get enough protein. You have to try to not get enough protein. It's almost comical that people focus on that. I would say the bigger concern, if you're really focusing on nutrition, and this is true for all Americans, not just vegan Americans, but is fiber and getting enough fiber, because that has a big impact on your gut health, which is an important part of our bodies functioning normally. That's what I would say to focus on. If you're really concerned about this, protein is pretty easy. You can throw some beans into a salad. In my household, we love chili. We have a couple different variations we make of chili. Even if you're eating processed food, even if you're eating, for example, Beyond Burger or a plant-based version of chicken nuggets, those all have protein in them as well. It's pretty hard not to get enough protein. Make sure that you're getting enough fiber there. Of course, supplements always help. The other big thing that people say is vegans don't get enough B12 because B12 comes from animals. I would say let's take it a step back. Where does B12 originally come from in nature? And it comes from the soil. So animals are eating grass or soil gets into their food because they're living outdoors. That's how the animals get the B12. So it is not something that is created in animals. It's just what they eat that then goes into their bodies, and then humans eat the animals. Just digging into a lot of this, understanding where things really come from. How much protein do you really need? It it really is very enlightening to understand all of this. I do take a B12 supplement, is actually just in my regular multivitamin, and that makes me feel good. I get my B12 for the day and I'm done. If you feel concerned about that, you can always do some sort of supplement. Once you understand and educate yourself, you're going to find a lot of this is really not the big deal the media makes it out to be.
The media has a lot to do with this, and even our public education system, because the food pyramid Like, that's so BS, I feel like. So I'm so glad that you're sharing the importance of educating ourselves, because that's a big component of going vegan, and it was part of your journey as well.
Oh, yes. And the food pyramid, if you look at the history, was created to support the meat and dairy industries. It was created for agricultural reasons. It is literally marketing. It is. And they teach it to us as if it was the law of the land, the most important thing. And they have an updated one now, which I think is a square with 4 quadrants instead of the triangle. It's the same thing. It is there to support agricultural meat and dairy industries. It is not there for real health reasons to benefit the general population.
I love that we're sharing that along with your vegan journey for people to make that connection of, okay, where is that information coming from? How is it suiting the people who are coming up with it? There's something else that I want to bring up that I don't think we talk much about. So, you also practice Reiki, and that is an energy healing practice that emphasizes compassion and connection to all living things. How do you make that connection?
You're spot on, Louisa, because Reiki is a modality of energy healing. The goal of it is to heal in a peaceful way. Essentially, you're using the universal life force to promote healing within yourself and others. It can be emotional healing, physical healing, promoting certain behaviors, healthy behaviors that you might like. And so it really does align with veganism, because veganism is also about healing your body in some way, switching to a more nutritious diet and lifestyle, not only for yourself, but for all of mankind, for the whole planet. And so when we're going vegan, we don't think of it this way always, but you are healing yourself. You are undoing years of damage that eating meat and dairy has done to your body. You're healing it from the inside out, which is very similar to Reiki. They both have a common goal in mind, just different ways of approaching it and using different sources for it.
It brings us right to the message of understanding that veganism isn't an all or nothing proposition. Like any other aspect of healing, it sounds like it's something that people can explore at their own pace, right?
That's the beauty of it, is that there is no one size fits all. And while that might be a little frustrating, because if you're like me, I just want to know, tell me what to do and I'll do it. But it's not quite like that. In some ways, I think the reason it can be frustrating for some people at the start is that you have to know yourself. As I mentioned, I found out that I don't really like to cook that much. That kind of goes against what most people think of when you think of someone who's vegan. You think of somebody who cooks every meal from scratch every day, and they're in the kitchen all the time, and they're using all these different ingredients and unique vegetables. And that's just not me. That's just not what I like. Until you start to get to know yourself a little bit better, if you don't already, it can be a little frustrating. Be gentle with yourself. A lot of us are not taught how to do this. We're not taught to tune in to our own bodies and hear what we like, and then respect that and play it out in our lives. It is about the food. It's also about a major life shift that takes time. Anybody can go out and buy an apple. Great, you're vegan. Okay, that's it. If you're really interested in doing it, my recommendation is to do it slowly. Don't go out and buy a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables and consider yourself vegan. You need to make sure that you're changing your habits in a way that's sustainable for you. That can mean different things to different people. At minimum, you need to take a good look at your kitchen and see what food you have there. I would start with the easy swaps. Like butter is a really easy swap. Eggs is an easy swap. Milk is an easy swap, whether it's for your coffee or cereal or just drinking it straight. Those are really easy swaps to do. Once you've mastered that and you feel confident with that, then you can move on to some other things. Because as you branch out a little bit more, the next realization you're going to have is, as you try to replace ingredients for some of your favorite meals, it won't taste the same. And that's okay. You're using different ingredients. It's not going to be exactly the same, but that can be a difficult mental hurdle to get over. You have to realize that it tastes different because it is different food. You're using different ingredients. You have to let your brain know I might be eating mac and cheese, but it's not going to taste like every other mac and cheese I've had in my life. It's going to taste different. If you don't like the new taste of it, if you try 20 different mac and cheeses out there and you don't like the taste of them, that's okay. Then you just don't eat it. Letting some things go and bringing new things in. Realizing that there's a lot of give and take on this journey and finding the support, the community, people that you can talk to, whether it's online or in person, goes a long way too. Thinking about how you look at the grocery store, that was a huge change for me too. Just skipping entire rows and sections of the grocery stores a little strange for me, but you just get to do it after a while. You just know that's where the meat is, and there's just no reason for me to go over there anymore. Changing your mentality is really helpful too. It certainly helps if you have somebody in person that can help you navigate, especially in the early days. Could be a friend coming over and you make a whole bunch of recipes together, or finding new vegan restaurants with your partner. Anything that's going to make it exciting for you is really the best place to start.
That sounds manageable. You said it sounds strange to you, but it sounds like a dream to me, skipping whole sections in the grocery stores. I don't like the grocery store, so I love that. One of the things that you mentioned is there may be challenges. What about other challenges that may arise during this transition that you experience, and how would you recommend that someone handle that?
I think the biggest challenge for me was being in social situations. Sometimes you don't know where the day is going to take you, and you can't always plan for it. The more that you can do in advance is going to be more helpful for you. For example, let's just say it's Saturday night, you're going to go out to dinner with some friends. My advice is either call ahead to the restaurant or look at their menu online to see what you can eat before you even get there. If it's possible, then you pick the restaurant so that you know you're going somewhere where you have at least one option for you. There are some cuisines that naturally lend themselves to being vegan friendly and some that really don't. Choose wisely if you can. I basically just want to set yourself up for success. If you're going somewhere where you know there's just no vegan options, it's just not possible for whatever reason, try to eat before you go out so you're not that hungry. I've
So
gone to steakhouses and just ordered like 4 sides because that's what I could eat there. A side of broccoli, a side of carrots, and you make it work. It's not my ideal dinner, but when you're going out, you have to get a little creative sometimes. And then as much as you feel comfortable, try to let people that you're going out with know that you are vegan. This was so scary for me. This was probably the scariest part, was coming out about it, because I did feel very judged. I had a lot of friends tell me their first reaction is, "Oh, I can never be vegan." And all I thought was, this isn't about you. Like,
I
I
love that.
don't really care if you could be vegan or not. But like I said, people just make it so personal and it's about themselves when it's really not at all. You get this reaction where people say, "Oh, I can never be vegan," or "You're crazy," or "How could you live without pizza?" These things. And you're just like, you really don't get me at all. Like, you don't understand why I'm doing this at all. And that's okay. Not everybody's going to understand it, but try to be prepared for that. And if you have 1 or 2 sentences prepared that you could say back to it, that's great. And then you just close that conversation and start on something else. Because if people are not going to be supportive, then there's really no point in continuing that conversation. It's important to let people know. Just like we don't like to be surprised, I think nobody likes to be surprised. If someone's taking you out for your birthday and they think you really love steak, they don't know that you've gone vegan and they're taking you to a steak restaurant. It might be nice to clue them in that it's no longer what you do. There's definitely some easy ways that you can work around some of the challenges. Honestly, I think once you put yourself out there, you'll figure out quickly what your own personal challenges are. And if you need help coming up with practical solutions for it, you can certainly go online for it. There are tons of people out there that have really good advice. I have my own blog where I have lots of practical advice because I've been through all of it. I've traveled, have two kids that are vegan, and my own transitions. I've had to come up with a lot of my own solutions too. So check out my blog for more on that.
That's wise advice, Kristen. It sounds like it's about progress, not perfection. It's really important to be a part of a community. And I know firsthand because I'm part of your community. For our listeners, it's important to remember to check out Kristen's website, www.kristenmedeiros.com, and follow her on Instagram as well at Kristen Medeiros for tips and inspiration on incorporating veganism into your daily life.
I welcome the community. I love talking to people who are starting their journey or even in the middle of it, and how we can embrace the mindful eating and compassionate living together. I really do believe that it happens one plant-based meal at a time.
I also heard that you have something very exciting coming up. Can you share that with our listeners?
Absolutely, Louisa. Okay, free spirits, get ready to say goodbye to confusion and self-doubt and say hello to a vibrant, compassionate, and healthier you with my upcoming exclusive online program. This is going to be a transformative journey that is meticulously crafted to guide you through every step of the way towards embracing a fulfilling vegan lifestyle.
That sounds amazing, Kristen. Can you give our listeners a little sneak peek into what they'll learn in this program?
So in my program, you're going to master the art of vegan meal planning. This is the part that people think is the most intimidating, but it's actually very practical and straightforward. So you're going to learn how to create nutritious, balanced, and delicious vegan meals that will keep you and your family healthy and satisfied. You'll also learn valuable strategies to navigate social situations with confidence, some of which I've just talked about. And that way you can ensure that you uphold your vegan values in any setting.
That's incredibly valuable, especially for families and individuals navigating the transition to veganism. What else will our listeners learn?
Oh, so much more. I'm really, really excited about this. You'll also cultivate understanding and compassion among your children with effective communication techniques about veganism. So, this program offers family friending meal plans and a collection of tried and true recipes that even the pickiest eaters will love. We've got expert led video lessons to provide you with comprehensive knowledge and confidence to live the vegan lifestyle. You'll also receive extensive course materials covering nutrition, ethics, and practical tips. There's also additional resources and guides complement the content. And there's interactive live Q&A sessions with me that will give you personalized support and guidance.
That sounds so exciting. And I've heard about the Thriving Vegan community that's part of this program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This is an exclusive vegan community that is a supportive space where you can connect with fellow learners, share your experiences, and find motivation on your journey. It's a place to celebrate successes, navigate challenges, and inspire each other towards compassionate living.
And how can our listeners join this life-changing program?
Joining is easy. That's the good news. Simply enter your email to join the waitlist. The link is in the show notes and in the description if you're watching this on the Flying Upstream YouTube channel. And you'll be among the first to access this transformative program. Secure your spot today and make a change that will impact not only your life, but also make a positive impact on the planet.
Thank you so much, Kristen, and thank you for sharing this incredible opportunity with us, free spirits. Do not miss out on this chance to transform your lifestyle with a beautiful and amazing vegan lifestyle enthusiast and practitioner. And remember to join the vibrant community that is committed to compassionate living. Embark on this exciting journey of a healthy and beautifully vibrant, sustainable lifestyle with our very own Kristen Medeiros.
All right, free spirits, that's all the time we have for today on Flying Upstream.
We hope this episode sparked your curiosity and ignited a desire to explore the extraordinary paths less traveled.
Even when the current feels strong, a whole world of possibilities awaits.
We'll see you next time on the other side of mainstream.
So keep questioning, keep challenging, and most importantly, keep flying upstream.